Hi, and welcome to part two of our Alstroemeria. I haven't looked at it since I stood up from it last night, and just looking at it, I can see that we've missed an enormous petal out. In fact, not just one, we've missed several out. So I don't quite know how we managed to do that, but we have, or I have. You haven't, presumably. So we really need to sort of put those in today before we do anything else. I haven't cleaned my palette actually, which is odd for me. So I still have all the mixes up that we used yesterday, so that's fine. I can get those petals in. I think that's the first job to do, to get those in, then maybe move over to the other flower and put the greens in, assuming I haven't missed any of the pinks out on that. Let's just have a quick check. Pink, 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 pink. No, I think we're all right with that one. It's this one on the left-hand side that needs some work before we can begin. Okay, so got my painting glasses on. Let's get going. Yeah. Let's start with the pink then. Let's just wake this pink up, bring it back to life a bit. It's basically opera pink. Opera pink. That's what Daniel Smith calls it. I put it out yesterday, but it's dried now, so it's like hard pan paint. And just a little bit of rose madder in with that, just to calm it down a little bit. That's pretty much the mix we had yesterday, so it's fine. And let's do that. So it's this one here and this one here. First of all, there are others that we have missed, which is ridiculous. Easy to do, very easy to do. Good job that I hadn't erased all the pencil. Otherwise I'd have to go and trace it all again, which would be a bit of a bugbear, but not undoable. But that hasn't come to that, so we're okay. So once again, we're just employing the wet technique. Water on the paper where you want the paint to go. Keep it away from anywhere that you don't want it to go, because it'll spread into it. Make sure that you've got a nice glisten, nice gleam on the top there. So a bit of this then, and it's on the top, along here. Just looking at my reference picture, and it comes down the side. Take care of your edges when you're doing it. And it gets lighter as it goes into the middle, but we'll just carry on with the full strength one at the minute. It's kind of frilly on the top a little bit. Now we just want some water on our brush. Just going to bring that pigment down, because it's still pink, but it's not this really bright pink as it comes down towards the bottom. Just flick that through, carry the pigment through. That's fine, and similarly at this other side that we've forgotten to do. I keep saying we like you've forgotten it. I have forgotten this. It is all my fault. And some full throttle colour goes in there. It's quite dark, that section there actually. That paint isn't sitting very well on that paper there, I don't know why. Look, it's got some grease on it or something, I don't know why that should be. We'll have to come back to that and put some, it's just splitting on the surface of the paper. which is odd. There we are. So that's that. The remainder of what's there is pink, green, so we're all right with that. And moving round, this bit here is green, and then we've got a pink bit, which I haven't. Let's just have a look on the tracing to see if I've got that and just haven't marked it. That goes there. I don't think I've got all that. I've obviously just missed a bit in there that needs drawing in. So I just need a pencil to give me a clue for when I come to paint it. And it comes down, this is sort of green there, and it comes down, and then underneath all that is quite pink. And there's two flutes here, and the pink on the outside, a light pink. So let's attend to this bit up here first, because it's the pinkiest pink. I'm wishing you good luck if you are using your actual flour for this, because I know they go over so quickly. I'll give a residual puddle there, which I'll mop up in a sec. And this comes down here, the bottom of the sort of trumpet. Oh, I keep catching a palette cable, sorry about that. The palette cam cable, but I think it's worth having it so you can see what I'm mixing up, colour wise, paint wise. Just make sure we've got enough water in there. I don't think we've got enough as it stands. So let's drop a bit more in. It's been snowing here overnight, and we've got a really hearty fire on to countermand that. So it's really warm in here, so everything is drying quite quickly. Right, so let's drop this in. There's this little curly Q up here. I wouldn't say this paper was behaving particularly brilliantly today. I don't know whether it's the paint, the paper, what it is, but it wants to split my pigment, and I quite obviously don't want it to do that. Right, let's have a look at that then and see if there's anywhere that we need to lift on that before we get carried away. And there's a section down here that we need to lift. So clean your brush, dry it as much as you can, so you've got a damp brush that's dry pretty much. Sounds a bit wonky, but a dry damp brush. So that's, yeah, that's okay, that's fine. Oh, sorry, I keep catching that. Maybe I need to move my water or something. And the next bit is the trumpet, which we did put water on. I'm just going to run some water down there just to try and soften that edge up a little bit. I don't want it to be really hard. I was going to put a bit more water down into the bottom part of this trumpet. It's just a little bit too much, got a little bit of a puddle at the bottom. Dry it off. A bit more of this pink. It has got lines through it, so we need to... this does have hard edges on it, this shape, because it's the flute, and it's quite a pale colour, and it has got some green brushing over the top, which we'll do when we come to do the detail. But at the moment we just need to lift out some ribs. They look like ribs, I'm sure they're not ribs, coming down it. Just haven't reached maximum lifting time. I'm wondering whether to try my number 2, see if it's any more keen to lift. Yeah. So I'm just lifting out these lines that look like they're ribs, but they are actually green. Yeah, that's fine. So the other thing that we've got is this other trumpet that's here, the base of the trumpet that's here, and also there's a little bit of pink in there as well. Okay, let's do that little bit of pink that's in there. Let's draw it first so we can see what we're doing. It's part of this petal, and that green comes down there, and then this pink comes down here, like that, in that sort of shape. So let me just rub off the line that we don't want. So it starts to get a wee bit complicated. Trying to work out, you know, which is the petal that's behind which petal that's behind which petal, and then you've got the same problem when you come to the leaves. And this was why I was querying with myself why on earth I'd actually decided to do this. So just while that's setting there, I just want to draw in where this other trumpet is. Now that's a trumpet there and it's green, but there is a trumpet here and it's pink on this side. It's pink there, so we could probably just get that in now actually, just quite quickly. Let's drop that in. We need lots of details on here. We're just blocking in ostensibly at the moment. Right, so let's attend to this pink bit up here. Still quite very damp. That's fine, it's okay. So let's see. Yeah, I need to lift some bits out of here. It's actually all very light. So it is pink, but it's light. So I'll just put a line down there so it's not hard. And we've just got a very light pink part there. Now that's making a bit more sense. You can see that this is the bottom of the trumpet and this is coming up to here, etc. Oh dear me, that was silly, wasn't it, to miss those bits out, but never mind. Easily rectifiable. Right, so give your brushes a good rinse of all the pink, because we're going into green territory. And for this green, for the green that's on the flowers, as opposed to the green that's on the leaves, it's a very fresh green. And I'm going to use green gold, which is a really greeny, look at it, it's so vibrant, it's gorgeous. But it's too green, too yellow, too gold, whatever, for our purposes. So we need to add something else to it. And for that, I'm going to add sap green deep. Just give us that nice, really nice, fresh green. I'm just going to mix up a little touch more than that, because I think we need quite a bit for this. So there we have it. I think that's a lovely colour, and I think it's the right colour. Always make sure that you get the excess off your mixing brush. The colour that your water ends up, you've paid for that pigment. That's the way I always look at it. So make sure you get as much as you can off on your palette. Right, let's move over to the other flower and put the greens on that first. Actually, looking at that, there is a darker green again on this. So I could just put the greens in as they are. In fact, I think I might, and dry brush the darker greens on. I think that's possibly the way of going about that. So looking at this section here is a green part of the flower. So same old, wet into wet. Right up to the edge of the pink, down to the bottom of where you want it. Now this is a hard edge because this is a leaf, so it's got nothing to do with it. And I'm just going over the pink that we put in yesterday down at the bottom here, so as I can have a little bit of meeting up of the colours. Okay, so let's see. Oh, that's such a lovely colour. I love these chartreuse colours. I'd love all the furniture in my house to be painted in this colour. Should be a little much for some people, I think, including my husband. A little hair on there. I just want, I'm just going to add some water to a little section of this, just to water it down a little bit and give us a slightly lighter hue as we come down this, down into the pink. But it does meet, you know, in real life it does do this, and it makes this greeny pinky colour when it meets. So we're all right with that. Right, now I just need to lift some lights out. Really is quite a large light that comes out there. One of these colours looks like it's a very staining colour. It's not letting me lift the lights out terribly easily. But that's okay. So let's move on to the next one that's not touching that, which is this bit here. So my intention today is to get the green onto the flowers, and then our next session we can do the leaves, start on the leaves. Yeah, lovely. So it's quite dark at the end. And it's quite dark all the way along that back sort of that back bit there. A lot of pigment in that bit. But it gets lighter as we get down here. And with regards to lifting out, there is a little bit. We've done a lot of it by using a less diluted paint, but that's fine. That's good, like that. Well, having said that, I might just lift that bit out. So we get a nice shape in there. Okay, that's fine. Now then, the next one we can do, because we're not touching the green at all, so carry on in this manner. Right, this one is one of those ones where it's pink and then abruptly it isn't pink. So, but there is this sort of section of light pink between the pink and the green. So we need to leave that if we can. We can lift it out if we can't manage to leave it, but it would be good if we could. Now this is a trumpet, and it comes along like that. And I don't know why I haven't drawn it like that, but I haven't. So it's good if you're painting from nature, just keep checking what you're seeing. And similarly, if you're painting from a photograph, keep checking to make sure, you know, your tracing was good, because obviously on places like on here, I've missed bits out completely. So actually, I don't want to start with a full throttle. I want to start with some quite dilute green up into here. Not touching the pink, the solid pink that we've got. And then coming down into the full throttle paint down here. And that is a hard edge there, so you're okay to leave it as a hard edge, because that's what it is. And it gets darker, which we'll put on when we come to do the details, but you know, add a fair bit of pigment to that bit there because it's quite dark, and as the one above is that the darkest bit is that bit along here. And lifting out, quite a lot of lifting out on this one, and there's a lot of detail to go in when we come to do that as well. We've got this quite bizarre bit there, that's fine. So you lift out as much as you can off here because it's very bright. There we are, that's fine. So we've got this sort of weird transition thing happening there, which is fine because that is, you know, that's what happens. Excuse me, I'll just have a drink. On Diet Coke this afternoon. Usually drink lemonade, but I've hit the heights and I'm on Diet Coke. Right, progressing nicely, I would say. So the only other bit now is this bit here, and it's a big fat hefty bit. So let's get that in. It's quite a large area, so apply quite a large amount of water. Well, not large, but suitable amount. And apply it to the top part of the bit that you're putting the water to, because gravity, of course, will make it fall. Now this isn't a hard edge on either side, it's a soft edge, so we really need to watch out for that. And this comes right back, and it's actually a stem, but we'll leave that. I'll put water in there because I don't want it to be too hard, but we'll leave that for details, leaves, etc. I just want to get the flowers mucked in. This has actually got a little bit more green in it, and I'm just going to add a little bit more green to our mix. Don't use your good brushes like I just did. Use your mixing brush, or you'll ruin your good brushes. Yeah, that's better. Nice dark, full green. And it comes back just to about there, and then we need to get the other green we've been using, the green gold mix, and bring that to the party. And then it really is a watered down version from there on. It comes up, and that's the stem. Okay, so quite quickly just go over the edge of that. Don't want that to be a hard edge, and over the edge of that. That's lovely. I'm just going to get some of that medium colour again and just flick it onto that section there. Okay, so lifting out then again. We need to lift out this very bottom section. It's absolutely bright, so might not have reached maximum lifting out time yet. I don't think we have. I have to give that a second just to think about life. You can see the flower is actually forming before our very eyes. Alright, let's give this a go. We'll see if it wants to lift out for us. Ah, yeah, that's better. So in between each time that you do that, rinse the paint off your brush, dry your brush off again, and go back. I know it's really, really tempting to keep going, but you've got paint on your brush that you've just lifted off. So now you're going to try and lift some more off, and if you've already got paint on your brush, it's not going to do it for you. It's so tempting. I know it is. So tempted myself to just, I'll just do one more before I rinse my brush. But don't. That way we'll end in tears. So if you're looking at this now and thinking, oh, I don't think too much of that, don't worry. This is just the very first go around at the flowers of putting colours on. There's loads and loads of detail to go on yet. You'd be glad to hear, I know. Right, well, where should we start? Let's start. Just trying to work out where that is. That's there on my painting. So yeah, it's quite a dark top, and it comes down to there, and that's it. That's it with the greens. On this side, they do seem to be slightly darker, I must say. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of that sap deep green to my mix. Actually, I think I need it slightly brighter than that. Might just add a little bit of lemon yellow to it. Yeah, that's nice. So it's slightly darker, but it's bright as well. You know, it's still bright. So let's go for this bit then. It's dry now because we painted it some little while ago. That's my dog and my man home from a walk in the snow. I've only got a Shih Tzu, so it comes right up to his tummy, poor soul. There we are. So just a bit of this, and it is actually really quite dark at the top, so don't worry. You know, don't think, oh, I've got too much pigment on there. You definitely haven't. It'll be fine. Comes down, and it just comes to there, and that other petal cuts it off. And underneath this part, there is green in it, but it's green we put in with detail. I'm just going to drop a tiny bit of sap green. Ooh, yeah. That wasn't sap green. Oh, very, very, very dark colour up there now, which I'll have to sort out at some stage. Okay, so that's that. Moving on to here. Oh, is there any lifting out to do there? Yeah, there is actually. This is sort of solid tip, and then it comes into sort of ribs, exactly like that. Lovely. Right, so let's move on. Let's move on to this one. Leave that long enough to sink in. Okay, so what needs lifting off here? There's a section down here. And with a smaller brush, I'm going to lift off some much smaller ribs if I can. There we are. Right, so I don't want to do this one at the moment because this is wet, similarly that one. So let's move on to this one. Now this one's slightly complicated by the fact it's got the anthers and pollen and what have you on it. But don't be too put off by that. They're dark, they're all dark. So as long as we make our green quite light, we'll be fine. Okay. Just tail away as it gets towards the centre, so a bit more pigment on the end as per, and then it gets lighter and lighter, a bit more water in it as we get towards the centre. And of course we can now still see the pencil lines for the anthers. Just really brush up there where they meet. Down here. So what needs lifting out now? Quite a lot in the centre here. Really does go very, very light. That's fine. Right, so now we can move on to this one. And it's another one of those it's pink, then it's a very indistinct colour, and then it's green down at the bottom. So put your water up over the indistinct area so we don't have a solid line. Try not to say hard edge so much today, but it is a hard edge. So this really is just green down the centre there. And the rest is a clean brush, just using that green we've put on just to spread out a little bit. It's green, but it's kind of barely green at the edges. Having said that, it does want to have some pigment in it. That's fine, I'm happy with that. Because we moistened that area in between the pink, the transition area between the pink and the green, we've got no hard edges at all, and that petal in particular actually looks quite nice. So we can't really do that, we can't really do that. We're a bit stuck. I'm going to go back to this one, which is now dry. This is the one that ended up with a phthalo blue in it instead of the sap green, which kind of wasn't what I had in mind. So I'm just going to go over it with a with the colour it should have been in the first place. That's fine. By the time we get the details on that, the blind man won't notice it. Actually, it's turned out quite nicely. One of those serendipitous little occasions. Happy accidents, as Bob Ross used to say. Happy accidents. Let's lift the colour. I can't lift much because we've already been there, so you know it's already had one coat on it. So what have I got that's wet? I think I can probably get away with doing this one now. So that comes straight down because this is bent. It's bent back on itself. And it comes to a little knobble there. If you can hear that, that's my dog talking to me, telling me something's occurring outside, which is of great interest to him. Probably a child running up the field or whatever, I don't know. It's of interest to him. He thinks it should be of interest to me. So this goes away to a really watery colour down here. Water green. It's got a bit too much pigment on that bottom there. So use your brush as a sponge and just mop it up. And I'm just going to put a tiny, look at that, for a tiny bit of sap green. I mean, it really changed the whole hue of that green gold. But that's fine. I want a darker bit just there. And then rinse your brush out from the darkness. And sweep that through. It does have veins on this one, so if in sweeping it through you get lines, that's absolutely fine. That's a good start for where we want to be the next time. I don't really want a hard edge on this because it's all part and parcel of that leaf petal, so that's fine, that's good. Right, so we're only left then, as far as I can see, although, you know, I've been known to miss them before. As far as I can see, we're only left with that one. We're a bit stuck at the moment because we're waiting for that to dry, but it won't take very long. And then we've got the anthers, stamens, whatever, and this here, this little void that's been left, is actually, now I look at it, it's actually a petal, a flower petal on its side. So we kind of need to put that in if we can, but I think it's probably more important to put the anthers in first. And they are, I'm going to put them in wet onto dry because they have hard edges and they are quite bright. So I've lost my number 2 brush now, honestly. It's not as if I've got loads of brushes. It's not. What's that? Number 2 round. There we go. Wasn't lost at all. So I'm going to use a number 2 for it. You can use a fine liner if you want, a rigger. You can use your number 8 on the point if you want to. You should, you know, you'd be fine with that. It's just I like small brushes. I like using small brushes. I just find it more natural for me. Right. Actually, is that dry? Yeah, it is. I'm going to put that in first. because I've got an anther that comes over it, so make my life easier to put that in first. So once again, we're going up over this sort of transition area so we don't get a hard edge. Make sure you've got enough. And that tucks in behind this one here, so it does need an edge on it. Hard edge even. Okay, I'm just going to give that a second because there's a fair bit of water on that. Just want it to sink into the paper just a little bit. Otherwise you put your pigment on and you can't control it. Okay, let's go ahead. It's quite a light green this actually, so I don't want too much going on. Let's put that on and then rinse all the pigment out of our brush and just pull that up a little bit into that area, that transition area. Too much pigment still on there, so sweep that down. This petal, I think, is perhaps the most important petal of all. It's kind of front and centre, and if you can avoid making a hash of it, that would be good. I'm just going to pull this down into the bottom to there where it meets, goes behind that one that's folded over. That's fine, pleased with that. So a bit of lifting again. We've got the clue to where we need to lift because we've got it in the pink at the top, so we need to carry that line down. It's just not dry enough yet to lift. It is a funny situation because you need it wet, but you need it sort of dry, otherwise your paintbrush just won't pick it up. So it's a case of being patient really. Either side of this is darker, that's fine, we can put that on when we come to do the details, but we really need this lifted off because it's lighter. We can't really lighten it afterwards. That's fine. Right, so down each side there is a bit that's quite light. This is what happens when you don't rinse your brush in between lifting. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's good. And it's got some markings on, some blotchy lily type markings. But I'll leave it until it's really good and dry before I put those on. Otherwise they'll spread, there'll be indistinct marks and they won't look as we want them to look. So I think I can make a start with this one down at the bottom anyway. As I say, I'm going to do wet on dry when I find the appropriate brush. Okay, well I'll use my number 2. Nothing wrong with that. So let's give that pink a bit of a stir up again, and it also needs to be really vibrant, this one, so go for the opera pink, big style. It's got to be, it's the brightest thing there, I think, so it's quite a whack of opera pink on that. As I say, we're doing this onto dry, so it is more vibrant anyway. And it folds over on itself. with a little sort of crinkle. There is only so much paint that you can get down at one time, so if it's not dark enough, that's fine. We'll come back and give it another coat later on when this is dried. I need a line down there really that I can't achieve at the moment, and then I need some green under it, but some quite vibrant, some of that nice green, gold green that we had. Just up underneath it. Like that. I'll just have a bit of a melding there. I don't really want a very hard edge. I don't want a hard edge at all. Okay. So I'm going to take some of this and just water it down. So I've got quite a very dilute mix. It just comes back along there. It's light pink. That's fine. Oh, now then, some of the deep pink, and we're going to put in the stamens. And I've painted over these, so I can't exactly see where they are, but I've got some clues on the way. These are very, very, very bright. Which is nice. Okay, so on the top of each of those goes a sort of round green pod, oval pod, which obviously has the pollen on it to attract the pollinators. So I think that we're fine where we are today. I think we've progressed quite well, really. Blocking in our flowers, and now, you know, we have pretty much got them blocked in. They're looking, how are they looking? They're looking fine. Looking nice and bright and ready further down the line for us to put the details in them. So back to me. Hello, hello, can we go back to me? So there are some sections that, well, or every section there needs a lot of detail, a lot of time spent on it and details and whatever. But, you know, you've got to start by putting the basics in. And I think we've achieved that, and I like it. I love the colours. I love that opera pink. It's a glorious colour. If you haven't got opera pink, you could use quinacridone magenta. Is another very, very bright pink, which would be fine, I'm sure. So on our next trip to Peru with our Peruvian lily, I think we'll look at the leaves. I think if we can get broadly overall blocked in, we'll feel like we're getting somewhere. And for some of you, that might be as far as you want to go anyway. So we'll see. So I'll see you on our next trip on number 3. I look forward to it. I really do. I'm enjoying this, and I hope you are too. See you soon. Bye. Oh, I should say, before I go, please subscribe. if you could. If you just click the subscribe underneath, and there's a little bell at the side of it. If you click that too, you will be notified. They'll send you an email when next I upload a video. And there's also a donate button there. If you could see your way to donate, all of these, everything that I do is free. You don't have to donate. It's certainly not mandatory. But if you can, that would be great, because I use Daniel Smith paints. I use, proper watercolour paper. And as you know, they're not cheap. So in order for me to carry on bringing you these free tutorials, if you could see your way to donate, I'd be very grateful. Thank you very much. And see you next time. Bye.